welcome back to my channel. My name is Matilde, and this is another of my installments about journaling and working with tarot cards and archetypes. As I've said in one of my previous videos, while working with tarot cards is not as in fortune telling or future telling. It is really to work most of the times with what is our shadow part, and sort of like getting a nudge in which direction we could go as of now. A friend of mine, with whom I was talking over the weekend, he defined somehow, and very correctly, somehow in a way, my way of working and using the tarot. As probably you are aware, there is a way of counseling, a therapeutic approach to counseling, which is called person-centered, which is classic Rogerian, where the person is at the center of the session. When I'm dealing with tarot cards, I am present-centered. Present-centered because, of course, it is the here and the now, which is extremely important. It is the moment that it is important, how we are dealing now, what our emotions are now. And we could stay hours discussing the ins and the outs and the reasonings and the justifications why we feel a certain way, forgetting at times of the pain that we feel. And I use tarot cards in journaling as in connecting with what could be any pain or any shadowed area within me that still needs working on. So we have dealt with some cards in the previous installments. This is about the card of death, and these are the three death cards from the three different decks that I normally use: Natalie the Checkley, the Dreaming Way, the Normal Richard, the Wave Smith, Rider-Waite Smith tarot card deck. I've set them into this way because, as you can see, there are different representations of death. This is, of course, Seven Dwarf, Snow White with the apple. So it is the person is actually dying, physically dying to a new life. This is more of a Grim Reaper, but at the same time as a farmer. These are the cycles of life. You sowed and then you reap whatever you sow. It is a woman and is looking this way, facing this way. While the classical card, as we probably most of us know and work with, this is the classical Rider-Waite death. And when I do my journaling in the morning, most of the time I use this deck. And I am fascinated by the depth of this card. As for when I find the Eight of Swords or the Two of Swords, one of the first hunches that I get is not again a kind of things. With the Eight of Swords and the Two of Swords, with death instead, I'm always fascinated and I'm always longing for the card of death, because the card of death is acceptance, full acceptance of transformation for me. Full acceptance of your own journey, full acceptance of the fact that things come and go, full acceptance of sufferance if sufferance needs be, full acceptance of joy at the same time, and the how different people react towards the act of leveling out that death has. Because of course at the bottom of the card we can see this is the king who's lost his crown, and really he is dead. This is our Hierophant, the Pope, or a bishop, because it's got his staff or his wand as a shepherd. And of course he is somehow celebrating, a bit in awe, this skeleton coming on a white horse. The maiden, who probably is expecting instead a shiny knight, or a knight in a shiny armor, or on a white horse, instead what she gets is she gets transformation again, she gets death. And it seems that the only person who's not bothered about is a little child, because there is the innocence somehow of connecting, of still being connected to what is the depth of the collective unconscious, of the cauldron where everything is possible. And Death is, of course, one of the, could be seen as one of the archetypes, as a leveler, somebody who actually brings level to life. So when you are journaling and the card that comes up during your day as a day card is death, besides the fact of seeing the card as, oh, something is going to happen and something is going to change perspective, help me change perspective on stuff, etc. Just really think in a deeper way, what is your different approach towards death? Is it really a death, death of the body? Is an understanding possibly that as much as there is a death of the temporal body, there is also an eternal soul, as expressed here, for example, with the rising sun among the two towers. These two towers, of course, remind us, if you know the other cards, I mean, the higher priestess, she has got the two towers, and there is the veil, and behind the veil there is the quietness and deep joy. So when you're actually working with the kind of death, do you feel, or do you think that there is actually an eternal soul? And how do you relate yourself in your life with the eternal part of your existence? I work normally with people in recovery from addiction, and I tell them that I personally believe that there is a temporal body, and the body is the one that is going to die. There is an eternal soul that is going to live forever or transform into something else. I'm not so sure about that, but to be honest, it's not even important to know what is going to happen after, as long as it doesn't die. This is my firm belief. And of course, our mind is what tries to make sense between the eternal and the temporary. For the people who are in addiction, at times realizing that the part that is eternal is going to live forever and is so strong and independent somehow that does not need addiction and has never been addicted, that is one of the possible ways of actually working through their own addiction. If you see addiction to substance abuse and misuse as from an existential point of view. Now, of course, I'm digressing now. If we said actually we need to just talk about the fact of the journaling. So how do you set yourself, if anything happens to your life and you need change in direction? Do you think you're going to die? Do you think there is something that's going to go on? Do you faint because your expectations were completely different? Or do you still in awe? Because if you look, there is water behind, there is the boat, everything keeps on going on as it did before, with absolutely no difference. This little girl just got flowers in her hair, a bunch of flowers in her hand. So it's entirely up to you. Or would you, I don't know, possibly maybe this, to me, for example, if I had to journal about this version of death, to me this is, are you falling asleep and waiting for somebody to rescue? Can that be your form of death? Again, so where do you put yourself in the, let's call it drama triangle, the meanie weenie genie? Are you still waiting there for something to change? Or do you see it as a change, as in, my situation is gonna change, but it's gonna be okay anyway? Or even though anything happens, I will still have the help of somebody else helping me out and in my journey. So how do you see? Or do you take it somehow philosophically, as in certain population, which they think, you know what, just keep on going on, or whatever happens, this is life, these are the cycles of nature and the cycles of life. One day you are born, one day you die, and then things just go on like this. So when you are journaling, you can put yourself with respect to change, with respect to transformation, and then journal about it. Write down what your fears are, write down what your questions are, maybe still needs asking. Write down, how do you place yourself if death in the family, for example, in your close family, has already happened. Do you feel lonely or do you feel alone? There are a lot of things that you can then write in a different at different levels when working, for example, with the card of death. I hope you enjoyed, even though we talked about death, but there is nothing to worry about. So I hope you really enjoyed even these installments of journaling and working with tarot and archetypes. If you would like to have any information, please do not hesitate. Just contact me via the Facebook page. Follow the links that are all in the description below. And if you need any other question, if you would like to have any more information, please do get in contact. Thank you.